Hi, Harry.
Hello, Kevin. How you doing?
Hey, I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I'm good. I'm excited to
Good,
chat.
good. Great. Appreciate it. Lovely to see you as always. I know you're a very busy man. Appreciate you putting some time to jump on a quick call that we're going to
Yeah, of
record.
course.
And obviously, for the benefit of those who may watch it down the line, really just to give potential partners an opportunity to hear from existing partner your experience, and as they are considering what the journey may look like and what to expect, etc., what
Yeah,
better way than to hear from someone who's been through that and is
absolutely.
a current partner. So Harry, on that note, would love to hear about you, your
Yeah,
company, and obviously what Infera does, and just a little bit of intel around the amazing work that you and your team are doing.
sure. So we're a group of people that came from the medical device space. And as part of medical device development, you have to produce a tremendous amount of documentation that can look like technical documentation, clinical documentation, regulatory documentation. And a lot of that is done very manually. And as we were going through that for the third and fourth time, we thought there has to be a better way to be able to do this. And that coincided very nicely with, the AI revolution that we all get to be part of today. So we
Sure.
thought of a new way that we can be doing this, continuous, predictive, proactive documentation management for medical devices. And what our platform does, it pays attention to the way that your team works day to day, takes those artifacts from the work that your team has done and turns them into documentation for review and then eventual audit or submission to a regulator. That is kind of the long and short of what we do.
Amazing. Amazing,
Yeah.
Harry. Thank you. Yeah, but obviously incredible business, and as we've got to
Thank you.
know about the business, but actually the people behind it as well. So Harry, just for the benefit of people who are watching,
Yeah.
your role, just a little bit about the team, please.
I am the founder and CEO. We're a relatively lean team.
Mm.
We've got a Teo, who you're friendly with, is our
Yes,
co-founder,
of course.
and
Yeah.
CEO Angelo is our co-founder. And then we have
Mm.
a head of regulatory, Nikki, who used to be at the FDA and then was at big, digital health hardware company Whoop, and has had,
Cool. Oh, nice. Yes.
dozens and dozens of submissions.
Yeah.
So
I bet. No, amazing. No, thank you for that, Harry.
yeah,
So if we go a little bit before our partnership, would love to
sure.
hear what was the situation before we started speaking, and maybe more specifically, how were you generating, say, new conversations? What wasn't working, and what then made you take strategic outbound as
Yeah.
a serious channel?
So I think before we engaged with you guys, a lot of our outbound came from conferences or from networks that we had that we would see on LinkedIn or in other channels. Like, this is where people are congregating, or this is where there's a
Mm.
density of these types of professionals. And then the outbound was, LinkedIn outbound to some amount, but it was obviously like limited by the amount of time that we could put into it. And then conference follow up was easy for the people that we interfaced with, but there are usually hundreds or thousands of people that you don't interface with. And so following up there is tough. I think when you are a small team, there's drawbacks to being lean. There's a lot of positives, but there's also some drawbacks
Sure.
in, like, you don't necessarily have the time to do the foundational work that you need to make sure you have a, fluid, cyclic sales process that's happening.
Mm.
So
Mm.
sourcing leads, reaching out to them, following up, it takes a lot of work. And so we
Yeah.
saw that as like a pretty obvious gap and not one that we're ready to fill directly with a full-time person, because we're also still learning and wanted to learn with a partner.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely, Harry. And now, if we move a little bit into
Sure.
the conversation of us actually starting to work together, would
Yes.
love to hear your experience of working with us. So I'm talking around the onboarding, if you recall, we've shared the workshops, just anything, just generally around the process, and even till
Yeah.
today, our communication and anything, just to hear your honest sort of experience and feedback.
Absolutely. So I'll frame it in like one experience we had before you guys. Astris, we had an experience with a like fractional salesperson who wanted to set up a lot of systems, but it took probably a month to get to the point where we were just getting started with some systems integration and defining
Yeah.
ICPs, et cetera. I think what I was impressed by with you guys and what sort of made it a no-brainer for me, the work that you put in behind the scenes showed that you obviously have expertise in how you go about doing the outbound and sourcing and the lead communication and qualification, creating the ICPs that were actually like knowledgeable of our industry. That wasn't just, this is our best so far and you tell us what to fix. You guys wanted to learn, you did your research, you understood what things were looking like, and you're responsive to any sort of feedback. And then I think the other very obvious win that we saw in partnering with you guys and why it was like an easy decision is how tech integrated you were, and knowing, the small thing that it takes years and years to learn. How, don't burn your reputation by doing this type of outbound, how you make things feel, human and interactive, because there is a very big human and interactive flow, how you guys want to integrate with our systems and then teach us better ways to be using technology. So that all felt like it was more of a partnership than just a, something that we're buying and having. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Amazing. And Harry, sorry, please carry on. Please, no, go.
I'll just add one more thing. I think sometimes we've described you guys to partners that we have, and we always get asked for more information, because I think people typically don't have the most incredible experience with this flavor of vendor client relationships. So I think you guys are doing something special there.
Very kind of you, Harry. Thank you so much. No, all I was just going to ask was, Astris are very proud of our approach during onboarding, where we don't just say, for example, send you a form and say, hey, Harry and team, fill this out, spend 2-3 hours, fill it out. And we think it's a bit lazy on our end. And number two, you probably don't have 2-3 hours to sit and fill everything out. There's just too much knowledge and insight. So we're very proud of our sort of onboarding workshops and the series that we fall to gain on that information. I suppose any sort of comments or views on those, if you recall, I know it's been probably a few months now, but anything specifically around sort of those workshops or the way we approached around understanding and learning about you or learning about the business?
No, I mean, I think it was thorough, right? I think you wanted to first fundamentally understand what we do, how we do it, the types of ICPs that we've defined, and maybe buyer personas. And then I think you've asked what had been working for us so far, what were the channels, where did we go out? And then you guys went back and did some of your own research, followed up.
Yeah.
What I was more impressed with is like the continuous nature of that conversation. Even, as recent as like a few weeks ago, nothing is sacred in the way that like, all right, well, we put this down as your ICP and we can't change, right?
That's it. Yeah.
Being flexible and learning from each other when things were right, or when we might have taken a misstep, or we made a prediction that was like, it was a bet that didn't pay out. That has been important, because it's, it's easy to just let these things sit and churn and the numbers will be what the numbers will be. But to say like, okay, this is our starting point. We think it's robust. Can help us confirm? And then let's keep going from there. That's been also a very good part of the partnership.
Amazing. Brilliant. Yeah. Thank you, Harry. And I suppose now just talking about the actual conversations, which is what ultimately anyone is here for, right? I think we've been working together now for about 5 months, and we've delivered around 70, or booked around sort of 70 conversations. And going back to your ICP point, it's been pretty wide, right? Regulatory affairs or CDMOs, SAMDs. I'd really love to hear just from your point of view on the quality of those conversations. They've been the right people. Have they been good conversations? Just any trend or what you're feeling and seeing around the quality of the conversations that we're booking for you?
Conversations have by and large been really, really good. And I think when we've noticed that maybe this isn't the right buyer persona, or it's not necessarily like the right campaign, the shift has been fast. But the nature of the conversation and who we're targeting, and like, are they industry adjacent? Are they willing to connect us? I've never had a conversation that is a waste of time. Like even ones where I'm like, I know for sure this isn't the right buyer. They've always opened me up to thinking about something else. And I think that's been also really good. So we kind of understand that people understand this space. They have something to say. There's some part of this conversation will be good. On the like excellent, good fit ones, we've had, dozens that have been excellent, that are still ongoing conversations, that are in our pipeline, deep in our pipeline after like multiple meetings. So yeah, I mean, I think that kind of speaks for itself. I think we have one that I'm traveling to Europe for a vacation next week, but as part of this, I'm going to go say hi to one of the people that you guys introduced us to. So it should be fun.
Oh, wow. Very cool. Well, if you're coming to London, you have to let me know, Harry. I'll come and meet with you in London. So
I'm probably not. I was thinking about it, but I'm not. If I do, I will.
Okay.
Obviously.
You do. You have to, please. Yeah. No, that's great. That's great. Then Harry, last question, because I know in terms of timing, so I want to be respectful of that. I think it's fair to say cold email or outbound in general gets a lot of bad press. it doesn't work, people hate it, people love to say it's dead. A couple of questions first. Going into this partnership, did you have any of that skepticism, firstly? And now that
Mm,
you've been, say, doing this for, say, a few months now, has it changed how you think about Outbound as a channel?
I mean, I think that outbound is done improperly is just can waste everybody's time, right? And
Yeah.
that's what I think
Yeah.
where you get the bad press that it's dead. If I get a cold call from somebody that I actually spoke to 2 weeks ago and it's now their colleague, and I said, I'm still not interested in your product, that's a bad look. If we're looking at buyer intent and signals in the marketplace and understanding that the people that we reach out to will actually have value added to their work life from our product, I think it's a different conversation. And never, I think, a testament to like that methodology. We've never had somebody that we got on the phone with and they were like, why are we talking?
Yeah.
And I think that that's a pretty significant difference, right? Like we're not showing up and somebody's like, who are you? What do you do? They're like, I understand your product, the pain
It's
that you solve
curious.
and why
Yeah.
we're
You
talking.
want to
Yeah.
find it more.
And so I think that that's a difference. Like, yeah, if you can cast a wide net, but make sure you're fishing in the right part of the ocean. So
Yeah. No, absolutely. And that's always what a concern a lot of people have. But
yeah,
as I say to people, we're not clickbaiting. We're not giving people
no,
AirPods to jump on a 5-minute call.
no, it'd be
It's a
nice.
very
I'd like
different,
that budget. Yeah,
approach,
yeah.
that thing. Yeah. And I promise a very last question, Harry.
Sure. Yeah.
I'm
You're good.
assuming you'll say yes, but because you're on this call, but I
Yeah.
have to ask, you don't know if you don't ask, but in terms of your own words, would you recommend Astris Partners, and just any last words on sort of the overall experience working with us?
Yes, and at like multiple stages. I think one of the core people that we spoke to who sold us on was a client of yours who's a much bigger company at a much later stage than us, and said you guys made a pretty critical difference in, moving them from, point A to point B in sales. I think for us, it's been a huge learning experience getting our sales engine and outbound engine started. And now we're bringing on like our first in-house salesperson, and kind of thinking about this as like an augmented outbound BDR team is also like a way. So I think yes and yes, you guys, I think, allow for flexibility. I think you have a good way to scale. So yes, very, very much so.
Amazing. Harry, thank you so much for your
Yeah,
time.
of course.
Look forward to continuing our partnership, and
Yeah.
yeah, great to catch up as always. Thank you.
Yeah. I'll let you know when I'm in your backyard.
Please do.
All right.
Thanks, Harry.
Bye,
Cheers.
Kevin. Talk soon.
Bye.